I'm Monica, and I live in the countryside of Japan, which is called the INAKA in Japanese. I'm Zainichi Korean Canadian, born in Japan. I initially came back here to get in touch with my roots. Now, my partner Simon, our dog pal Echo, and I have been slowly working to create a self-reliant homestead on land nestled between the mountains and the sea. Living here, I have naturally been drawn to deepening my skills with traditional foodways. Growing, foraging, processing, preserving, fermenting, and the like. I have been learning many of these things from elder farmers in the area, as well as my Zainichi Korean grandma and the aunties in the city. And of course, by learning to cultivate a relationship with the land around me. Today, I'd like to share with you a glimpse into our life here and some of the food explorations I have going on. I pulled out some of my preserved foods out of the pantry to show you. Here they are. I'll start over here. These are dried takenoko, so bamboo shoots from this past spring. And I dried them in the sun with a little bit of salt sprinkled on top. They kind of look like dried squid or something. And then here we have evening primrose seeds. These just grow wild everywhere. And these are really fun to harvest. They come in these pods that are kind of like sesame seeds, and you just shake them out. I like putting these in baked goods and porridge in the morning. Here is some umeboshi, so soft pickled ume plums. They're pickled with shiso, perilla leaves, the purple ones, so that helps with this like really dark pink color. You can see over here another batch. The color is a little different. And then next we have some kaki vinegar, persimmon vinegar. I made this from last fall's harvest. It has this like really beautiful orange color. And this turned out really good. It has a lot of depth of flavor. Here I have sansho pepper pods in soy sauce. This is really good when you're cooking fish. Here I have green walnuts and whiskey with some spices to make nochino. This is itadori in whiskey, which is Japanese knotweed in whiskey, and this makes really good medicine for tick bites. This is biwa leaves, so loquat leaves in whiskey, and these are just good on your skin when you get bit by mosquitoes and things like that. Here I have some scape salt from this year's garlic scapes. Ooh, smells nice and garlicky. Here are some wakame seaweeds. You can harvest these in the ocean anytime between late winter to early spring. Ooh, okay, this is shiokoji. So it's made from essentially koji rice, salt, and water just mixed together. And this makes
any food you make really, really good. Like if your pasta is mediocre, I would recommend you make this and start adding it. It's just natural MSG flavor basically, and it's a condiment that I can't live without. And here we have ume syrup. This is a really common ume preservation that a lot of people still make today, and it's essentially just ume and sugar, but I like to use black unrefined sugar from Okinawa. I have another batch here. A lot of people like making drinks out of this in the summertime. Here I have my first ever batch of kneading. So, kneading is used to sweeten dishes when you're cooking. And it's made from mochi rice, so glutinous rice, and koji rice with a little bit of alcohol. In this case, it's sweet potato shochu. And it takes maybe about a year. It'll become really nice and sweet, slightly alcoholic. I like making my own cooking condiments. That's something that I feel is really important and also really easy to do. Here I have some wild ume wine fermenting. This I got going with just ume and like really ripe ones, and the natural yeast occurring on the ume with some spring water and black sugar again. It turned out really, really good, and I've started to bottle some of them. Here is a barrel of miso that I pulled out of the cold shed. It's been fermenting for about 2 years now and made with the soybeans that we grew. There was a layer of thick salt on top which acted as a lid. It was protecting the miso that was underneath, but I've already scraped it off. And underneath it's a paste of gold. And you can see on the sides how there's still mold and yeast growing, but that's okay. I'm going to clean it up and then lay a new layer of salt on top, and this will be good like this for another little while.
At the back of this land, there's a very thick bamboo forest. We were told that in the post-war era, there was a family that brought a couple of bamboo shoots over here and planted it in hopes to have more food. Well, today, many years later, the bamboo forest has taken over much of the area and has become very dense and overcrowded, yellowing in many areas. We have been trying to caretake the bamboo forest by thinning it out slowly, trying to let the existing ones breathe, take out the dead ones that have become interlocked, making room for new growth. So with the bamboo that we've cut down, we've been trying different experiments. Simon, he has tried to make bamboo charcoal. I've been trying to learn how to weave baskets with it, but it's really difficult. And we put some of the bamboo in a bamboo chipper, which makes this really interesting fibrous mulch. And we've used that from everything to covering our composting toilet with it, mulching our gardens. We imagine there's going to be a lot of interesting uses for this mulch in the future. Later, I'm going to show you a neat way of cooking rice using one of these bamboos that we're going to cut down. We'll use the bamboo as the cooking vessel over fire. It's called taketsu gohan. But first, let's go to the ocean before it gets too hot and see if we can find any creatures to add to dinner tonight. For me, working with different foodways has never been just about eating. It has been about the stories that are woven in. I believe that food is a form of knowledge transmission that can teach us wisdom, carry memories, and pass on culture.
They're also a little small. Yeah? Well, shall we grab some? Maybe the bigger ones? Oh, there's some bigger ones over there. Gotta be quick, gotta be quick.
Once you touch them, it alerts them when you're touching hard. There's a crab on the rock there. I'm gonna see if I can touch it.
Oh, I can feel it pulsating. These guys like to try to climb out of the bucket. Yeah, where's the other one?
Go on already.
I'm sorry, Colin. There's a sea urchin in here.
As a person of mixed cultural backgrounds, working with food in this way has helped me navigate identity and rooting down into a sense of home. Let's see what we got in the bucket. We got some of the seaweed. In Japanese, it's called miru. In English, the common name for it is dead man's fingers. I think they're also called velvet fingers. We got a bunch of different mollusks, also known as sea snails. These are the ones that have that really strong suction to the rocks. And these guys look more like snails. And there's that crab too. This, I think, is called a iwagani, which is paddle crab in English. They just all add a little bit of flavor to the miso soup. We're back, and now we're gonna make some taketsutsu gohan.
いいよ、うちでも。
切るよ。
This here is a sansho pepper plant. It's part of the prickly ash family. It just grows everywhere in this bamboo forest. They'll get these green berries that will turn red later in the season. This one doesn't have any. But you can take even just the leaves and you can get this kind of lemongrassy, kind of tingly, mouth-numbing flavor. So you gotta be careful how much to use. But I'm gonna grab a few of these leaves and put it in our bamboo rice. Now I'm gonna make the takutsu, which is the bamboo vessel to cook the rice in. And here's an example of one I already made. So it's basically a lid and there's this cavity in here. And there's a wall on either side. So with bamboo, where there's a node, there's a wall on the inside. So we just wanna make sure to keep that wall when we cut. So I'm gonna cut this one here. Now I'm gonna make the lid here, so I have to put an incision on in both ends. Now I'm going to take this tool called a nata. It's kind of like a long hatchet. And if you get it in right, it should just cleanly crack. I'm going to hit it with this mallet. So now we have this cavity and both ends are closed, and we have this lid this way. I'm just going to clean up the edges a little bit. Ta-da! I'm going to fill the vessel now with rice and other ingredients. The ingredients, I've pre-hydrated them in water, and the rice, I've soaked it in water for about an hour. Here's the rice. The white rice is from a friend, and the colorful rice is actually ours that we grew. This is the sansho pepper plant that I showed you earlier from the forest. This is hijiki seaweed that Simon's aunt grows and harvests. These are jujube dates that I harvested from a neighbor's tree last year. And these are bamboo shoots from our forest from this spring that I salt dried, and now they've been rehydrated. bamboo rice is almost ready. You can see the oils coming out of the bamboo. While we wait for this, Simon's gonna make some miso soup. Here's some of the sea creatures from today going in. We washed them beforehand to get the sand off. And put them in with a little bit of salt water to get them to spit some of their salt out too. Wakame that we harvested this spring. We're using some of this miso that we made. It's been about 2 years now. And this one we actually use it as a pickling bed for Japanese leek bulbs. They're still in there, but we're gonna use it for the miso soup for some extra flavor. Something important that comes out of practicing traditional food skills, or any old skills, is developing the ability to tend to something. It could be starting a fire and keeping it going for cooking. It can also mean picking up on the subtle hints of the seasons changing, or simply knowing how to cook a pot of rice without using an electric rice cooker or a timer, but knowing exactly how it should smell when ready. It's getting to know the feel of things through your body. These skills you can't Google. They take practice. They are grandmother skills. And why is any of this important? This fine-tuned way of knowing requires us to be present in our bodies and connected. This way of being, we naturally form relationships with everything around us, and where there are relationships, we begin to take care of each other. And that is important in the web of life that we are all a part of, whether we acknowledge it or not.
Itadakimasu.
いただきます。It's good. It's a little smoky.
You can taste the bamboo in the rice. And the charcoal flavor. It's really good.
Look at the back of the container. It's like already half turned into charcoal. Eko kutta ka?
Takaki.
How's the dead man's finger in your soup?
変な食感した。
どんな食感？
スパンジみたいな食感。
But the sea snails were pretty good.
Sea snail pasta も美味しい。
When I talk about traditional food ways or any old skills, I'm not saying that we should all abandon the new and go back to the old ways. But things need to change, and that the old way now is maybe eating avocados in the wintertime in Canada, or maybe even having a dishwasher. The new way might be supporting your local farmers and knowing how to build your own simple gray water system, and to move towards radical self-reliance within community. This is what inspires me. This is what I strive to create around me. And of course, I do still have a long way to go myself, but I'll get there. And this is all for today. I want to thank you all for following along and watching this video. It was a pleasure sharing with you all. But don't forget, everything you saw here, there's always Instagram versus reality, if you know what I mean. So, thank you. Bye.